I was already recording for a minute and a half and did not even realize that I had hit start record. Well, that's a start to the video. Hi everyone, it's Shar. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. We're about halfway through 2023. It is mid-June and I've read not as many Kindle Unlimited books as I normally read, but a good number of Kindle Unlimited books. So for today's video, I want to tell you about the Kindle Unlimited books that I have read and really enjoyed. We're gonna jump into the recommendations in a minute, but I need to tell you something specific. My relationship with Kindle Unlimited books is a little bit different. I go to KU Books as the epitome of my mood reading. So while I don't necessarily think that all of these books are objectively great books, I think they're great for a specific mood. So I'm gonna tell you what mood I was in when I read this book and when I think you might enjoy this book. So the first book I'm recommending to you was actually from a failed video that I never did, but it is Ive Been by Sophie Lark. So this is somewhat of a dark romance. In this story, we're following Ivan, who is like the head of this mafia in Russia, and he's got a lot of enemies, okay? Someone hires an assassin to come and kill Ivan, and they hire this well-known assassin. She takes the opportunity because it's a lot of money, so she figures out the information about Ivan, his routine, his plan. He lives in like this heavily guarded estate. No one knows where it is. No one's ever been able to get into it, but she gets into the estate and she ends up right in his bedroom, standing over him, about to kill him, and he wakes up and he immediately takes her prisoner. He's like, "Who sent you?" But inside he's also like, "Damn, no one's ever gotten that close. That's kind of sexy." So that's their relationship. He takes her prisoner. There's lots of sexy times. This is a smutty book, and it's about them trying to navigate who hired her to kill Ivan, because obviously they never told her who hired her. She just had the hit and who's after her now. It is such a fun book. The mood that I was in when I read this was just craving something a little bit silly, a little bit dark, and something super steamy. So if you're in the mood for something that is slightly ridiculous, you're intrigued by the premise, you're intrigued by a dark romance that isn't super dark. There are dark moments, but it's not going to like terrify you. It's not going to make you feel some kind of way. It is mostly lighthearted with some darker elements. The next book I have to recommend to you is very niche. This is A Soul to Touch by Opal Rain. Yes, it is the third book in a series, the Duskwalker Bride series. But the way this series works is that you do not need to read the books in order. They can each stand alone. So if you want to start with the third book, feel free to, but I recommend starting with book one. The third book, A Soul to Touch, is one of my favorite KU reads of the year, and I'm going to have to very mildly spoil something for you, but it's so mild it won't ruin anything else in the series, and it is the central plot of this book. In this book, we are following a woman named Mayumi. And Mayumi is a hunter. She lives in a post-apocalyptic world where during the Industrial Revolution, a giant rip was opened up into our universe as we know it, and demons came through. And these demons were very base level demons where they were hunting people and eating them. Very ravenous beings, and that halted all human progression. So Mayumi is a hunter living in this world. She goes after these demons to try to keep the small pockets of human civilization safe. However, when this book starts, she's no longer in the Hunters Guild, and she gets the sense that she is being stalked, she's being watched, and she recognizes that something is watching her, and it is none other than her childhood savior. Because when Mayumi was a little girl, she left her home looking for her kitten, and she was very ill. And unfortunately for her, when she was about 4 or 5 years old, she ran into a Duskwalker. But because she was so delirious with fever, she didn't recognize that her kitty was actually a Duskwalker. And he manages to ignore his hunger, saves her, and drops her off at home. And Mayumi has a very vivid memory of that happening. So when she sees him again, she's super excited. Super excited because Mayumi is a monster fucker. So this is about their relationship, and the central plot to this story is that our main Duskwalker character, I'm gonna call him Kitty, he gets a new name, but she calls him Kitty, and that's the name he assumed until she renames him as an adult. He has a fractured skull. And for Duskwalkers, that is a death sentence. So while he recognizes that Mayumi is his bride, is his mate, and they're trying to make the most of their time together, he's dying. And they both know that. I just love it. This is a high fantasy world. There is not a lot of plots outside of that. This is definitely romance. The plot is these two coming together and trying to navigate his inevitable death. I will also tell you this book is 85% smut. Not kidding. If that's not your thing, you're not going to like this book. And if you are like new to monster romances, or you typically don't read monster romances, don't start with this one, because this is not a man. Okay, it's going to shock you, it's going to terrify you. And even for me, if you see my review from my vlog, I was like, bestie, you're towing the line with some things. But this is a fully sentient and intelligent being, and I cannot tell you what he is, but if you knew what he was, it would change your perspective on it. The third book that I absolutely loved on Kindle Unlimited this year is Stars Collide by Rachel Lacey. If you've watched my previous videos, you know that I loved this book. It is a new release. I believe it actually came out in May. I had no idea. I just saw it on the KU storefront, and I was like, cool. Stars Collide is the story of two musicians. In this book, we have a mega famous pop star. She has just released an album, but it's kind of tanking, and people are saying that her name is Eden. People are saying that her spotlight is fading, and she's not going to stand for that. So her publicist, her agent says, hey, there's this really popular up and coming musician. Her name's Anna. I think that you two should collaborate. They do the Grammy Awards together, like the performance. Ends up hitting it off. Eden invites Anna to be her opening act for her upcoming world tour. Anna agrees, and this is the story of them falling in love. If you love Hollywood books about the music industry, the idea of a mega famous pop star falling in love with her opening act, I think that you would really enjoy this book. This book is also in many ways about Eden coming to terms with her sexuality and the many ways that she has been unknowingly conforming to kind of comp het, and recognizing that perhaps she has always really loved women. And this is about her exploring that with Anna and them navigating being famous. Eden is like the most famous pop star in the world in this book. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. Watch the vlog if you wanna know more thoughts about Miss Eden in this book. And I have Captured by the Orc General. I don't remember who wrote this, but here's the cover. She's beautiful. Once again, we are in a post-apocalyptic world. This time there are fae and orcs, right? And orcs have had this massive war with the fae people. Humans were kind of caught up in the middle of it, and in this story we're following our main character. As a child, her village was raided by orcs, and she had to run for her life. The orcs killed both of her parents, and she and her older brother, who were 8 years old and 5 years old respectively, had to run into the forest to try to save their own lives. She stumbles and they get separated, and for the rest of her life she believes that her brother's disappearance is her fault, and she is determined to believe that he is still alive and that she can find him. She ends up joining like the Royal Society of the Fae, essentially, because she's a really powerful healer, works magic really well, and she gets the Fae King to agree to let her go to Broken Bone Mountain, which are where the orcs live, so that she can have some attempt at finding information about where her brother is. While she's doing that, she's struggling to survive, just trying to get to Broken Bone Mountain, right? And she ends up in a trap set by this orc army, and they're just looking for food. They didn't mean to capture her, but she gets captured. She gets freed by the Orc General, and the Orc General takes her up to Broken Bone Mountain, and this is their relationship. I really enjoyed this specifically because of the cozy element. If you like a cozy, slower fantasy, I think that this can satisfy you. It's very much giving like medieval fantasy vibes. They live in this snowy village on the mountain. The village people are like very close to each other, very loving, very protective. supportive. They really admire the general who is the leader of the village. And it's just our main character not only falling in love with the general, but learning more about healing in this village and helping bring modern medicine to this village, as well as finding out more about her brother and where he could potentially be. While I don't think this is the perfect book, again, I did a vlog on this book, so if you want to know my full thoughts, it will be in there. What it comes down to is that I really enjoyed this book for all of the cozy fantasy elements, which is why I'm recommending it to you. But I think that the romance needed more time to develop. It got there, but we definitely needed to see more moments to get there. I have a murder mystery. This is in the market for Murder by T.E. Kinsey. This is part of the Lady Hardcastle series. This entire series is on Kindle Unlimited. Not only can you read the ebook, it also has the accompanying audiobook with it. So very fun for mixed media. The Lady Hardcastle series follows a woman in like her 30s or her 40s. She's widowed, and she and her lady's maid have decided to move to small town England just to have a cozier, quieter life. But turns out the town they moved to is the murder capital of the world. Lady Hardcastle has her own history, and she and Flo, her maid, get wrapped up into a lot of hijinks trying to solve all these murders that happen in this very small, quaint English village. In this specific book, which is the second book in the series, In the Market for Murder, you are following Lady Hardcastle and Flo as they go to the Sunday market, and they found out that someone has died, and the coroner believes that this person was poisoned, was murdered, but he's not willing to like really say what's going on. And Lady Hardcastle and Flo decide to investigate what exactly could happen. This is a true classic murder mystery. If you're like a fan of like an Agatha Christie, or you just like a historical murder mystery, I think that you'll enjoy this book. I enjoyed the pacing of this more than the first book, and I just like the whole quaint English village, solving murders, talking to a bunch of people, lots of gossip, just a fun audiobook to listen to. And the final two books on this list are both part of the same series. I went back and forth about whether or not to include them, but ultimately I am. These two books, I Married Anaga and I Married a Minotaur, are both part of Regine Abel's Prime Mating series. They are alien romances. So I'm gonna start with I Married Anaga. I Married Anaga is a woman who is a hunter. She is hunting an invasive species on this planet that she's never been to before. There is one rule on this planet, one rule for this tournament that she's competing in. You can only attack the invasive species. You cannot enter Naga territory. However, a Naga child is being hunted by one of these species that she's hunting down, and she knows that if she does not interfere, this child will die. She decides to break the rules, and she enters Naga territory to save this child. However, there are consequences to her actions, and even though she did it for noble reasons, they decide not to kill her, which is normally the policy, but because she did it for noble reasons, she has to marry into the Naga people, because if she entered Naga territory, but she was part of the Naga community, then there is no violation of the rules. She ends up marrying a Naga man who she met a little bit earlier, and this story is truly just a romance. It's her navigating the situation that she is now in, trying to know more about the Nagas, which are snake people, understanding the differences between herself and her new husband, exploring this new world and all of the wildlife in it. She's always loved nature, and just these two falling in love. If you like, it's not marriage of convenience, like arranged marriage, but not really. I told you the circumstances of it, but the whole idea of a wife and a husband trying to know each other after their marriage, and you're just looking for like a cute, fluffy romance, this can 100% fill that need for you. And I think this was very solid. And Regine Abel is always a pretty good writer. And the second book, I Married a Minotaur, is for my girls who love fluff and political intrigue. I Married a Minotaur is set in the same world as I Married a Birdman. On this planet, the Minotaurs are having an issue right now. Minotaurs have a lot of testosterone, and for their own healing and growth and just like healthy bodily function, they have to fight a lot. They're very aggressive beings. They have a new leader. this guy here, and he doesn't want his people to keep going to war and to keep dying, because while he understands, of course, the testosterone and the need to have this fighting as part of their healing and part of their health, he doesn't want to go to war. He wants to find a more conducive way to go about this. He's trying to navigate that, and he's trying to help his people, and this is an issue because they're getting restless and they really want to go to war, and he's trying to find the best solution. At the same time, we have our heroine who has been arrested because she's a smuggler. She got arrested for smuggling something, and they caught her. Even though she played a very minor role, she ends up getting an extremely harsh sentence, essentially being sentenced to this planet where she will be in prison for the rest of her life, and this is a soul-crushing prison where it's very unlikely that she would survive. We have our prime mating agency who hears of her case and who offers her the opportunity of, instead of going to jail for the rest of her life and dying on that planet, they have our Minotaur character who is navigating this, and she has a specific and unique set of skills that will help these people that is in the best interest of the United Federation. Sci-fi besties. And she agrees because obviously marry or die. She's gonna choose her husband. So she and the Minotaur marry, and this is in part about them falling in love, all of the fluff, him just trying to make her feel comfortable, and also about their collective issue now because she's part of this community and she recognizes this is important to her husband, so they are trying to come up with a solution that is viable. I don't want to spoil the book, but it is a lot about avoiding war and navigating his tenuous leadership over this village, as well as his relationship with his wife and them wanting to be happy and in love together. And that's it. Those are the 7 books that I've read and really enjoyed on Kindle Unlimited this year. If you like Kindle Unlimited reading vlogs or you want more KU Recs, I'll have a playlist linked here so you can continue to watch them and know that I have a lot more coming up. I'm planning to do a KU reading vlog every single month. Let me know if you have any recommendations for me for Kindle Unlimited books that you have read and loved, or you think I will really enjoy. I always appreciate your recs. As always, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you would like to, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. Thank you.